Good afternoon, y'all. It is Sunday, June the 9th. Tomorrow is my oldest brother's birthday, and he's going to be 78. He doesn't like for me to tell that. He told me he wouldn't have any more birthdays, but I'm going to see him tomorrow anyway, because he is going to have one, whether he likes it or not. It is a beautiful, sunshiny day here in Arkansas. It is warm, probably 90, I'm guessing, somewhere in that range. And I still am trying to get a video outside, but the early weekends of summer mean that when it's pretty, the boat traffic is absolutely horrible. We have so many people who vacation here and who love to drive their boats and jet skis up and down the lake that the noise gets pretty tough for sitting outside. We don't hear it much in the house, but sitting outside is probably not going to happen for a while. But I'm going to do that before too much longer because it is beautiful out there in the summer. I have several things to tell you about. I'm going to save the personal things for the end of the video so that if you're not interested in those, then you can skip that part pretty easily. I do want to say, first of all, on my last video, I'm looking for something. I'm trying to remember what I did with it. I had a pattern that I was giving away. Actually, Ann Thompson, who is the owner at the Shepherd's Needle, was giving away Teresa Kogas' pattern, Pray. And I drew the number for Magnolia Nana. I announced that on my last video, and I've not heard from her. And I did send her a message yesterday on one of her videos. So if any of you have her information, that maybe email or you message her or something, if you would let her know to please email me so that I can get her address, I would appreciate it. I'd like to get that pattern sent to her. I have a couple of more patterns somewhere down here under my stack that I'm going to pass the stash on. So I'll do that a little bit later in the video too when I get some things out of the way. I thought that I would talk a little bit about what I'm doing right now. I finished my mania stuff and I made a video right after that. I worked on those whips that I was working on before. I worked on those several times during the latter part of May. But the 1st of June, I decided that I would switch over to patriotic things and try to work on those during June. And then switched in the 1st of July and do Christmas in July, and I'll start working on some Christmas patterns then. I'll get back to those whips at some point. But first, because I am doing patriotic stuff this month, I want to show you a couple of vintage patriotic things that I have stitched. And you all have seen these before, but I think it's been a couple of years. So I'm just going to show you. I don't know, but I think maybe both of these are Lizzie Kate's, but I certainly am not positive. This one is Liberty, and I made it into a small pillow. I love pillow ticking, and that just works perfectly, I think, for patriotic things. I added, this is a flat braid that I added around here and made this little, I don't know what that is. It's not a bow. It's just a little attachment that I kind of pull the threads apart on to make sort of a tassel. I used red and white stars on the back, and this goes on my coffee table. It's one of my favorites. That's why I brought it to show to you. I'm just going to throw it on the floor, though, even though it is favorite. And this one I'm almost positive is Lizzie Kate, land that I love. I don't know the fabrics on either one of these, y'all, but I'm going to guess that they're both 28 count, simply because that is my go-to fabric because of my vision is not the best in the world. Although I do have new glasses, prescription glasses, that are working very well for me. And so I've been working on some 36s and doing okay with that. Again, stars, but navy and white. And I used red and white ticking for the back of this one. And this is in one of the chairs in my living room. I have an FFO that I want to show you. One of my granddaughters works at Michael's, and she does framing there in Little Rock. For Mother's Day, my kids wanted to frame one of my pieces for me. My son-in-law took it to Little Rock for me to my granddaughter, and together they picked out the frame for Early Americans. I have never seen this done this way before, but this is what Jordan did. Jordan is my granddaughter. This is Early Americans. The place where I have it, it has a very limited width, and so I didn't want this to be I didn't add the border because I wanted it to be as narrow as possible. This is a barnwood frame, and she called this a frame liner that she put in. It's actually a second frame covered with matte board fabric. I love it. I love the color because it really picks up on this center block. Isn't that pretty? The background, the color of my walls is I don't know, it's kind of a creamy color, but not cream. It's darker than cream. And this is not going to just stand out like a neon light. The frame isn't. It's going to sort of just not blend either, but it's going to really make a statement there, I think. And I think what you're really going to see is the piece itself. I'm very happy with it. I especially love this frame lining. I think they did a wonderful job, BJ and Jordan did that together. And I think they did a beautiful job. That's going to be one that I will treasure for sure. So thank you to them for doing that. I don't think I showed you this one because I finished it after Mania. This is Teresa Kogas' pattern For You. It is done on 30 count weeks dye work, and the color is kudzu. I did make some substitution in colors on this. I don't remember what they were. They were in the reds, I can tell you that. I don't know how I'm going to finish this. I'd love to have some suggestions. I'm going to go back and look because I know that Vanna did this one, and I want to see what she did with it. I can't remember if she did a flat fold or if she framed it. I don't remember, but I'm going to go back and look, and I absolutely love his face. He's not smiling. He's a rather stern-looking gentleman. I think he's a gentleman. And then my first patriotic piece that I finished, I've had this little pattern forever. It's a Little House Needleworks called Stars and Stripes. And you know, when you look at their little patterns, you think, oh my goodness, that's going to be small, and that's going to be, just something like this big. It looks like a little bitty frame. Well, no, that's not the way it is, y'all. It actually called for 16 count fabric. I did not have a 16 count on hand, but I did have an 18 count even weave. I don't know anything other than that. It's an 18 count, and it's an even weave. The color looks something like khaki, but I couldn't say anything past that. Obviously, I've not ironed it yet, but I'll get to it. This is another one I'm not quite sure how I'm going to finish, but I may do a bag. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. The mail lady is here, and she's already been here once, and it's Sunday, for goodness sakes, Amazon. You could wait till tomorrow. I wouldn't care. Anyway, it's finished. It was fun to do. It was pretty quick. I spent, just maybe 3 days on that one. Not very long. And then the other, what I called a patriotic stitch that I started, I'm having a little trouble with. This one is called Pennsylvania Fractor. And, I know it's not patriotic, but it's got 1787 and Virtue, Liberty, and Independence on it. It's not the traditional patriotic. I guess that's what I'm saying. When I started stitching this bird, I don't know what I did. I transposed some color numbers, I think. I had to substitute some colors. And anytime I do that, if I don't write down what I'm substituting, every time I think, I'm going to remember that, I'm going to remember that. No, I'm not going to remember that. And I need to write it down. I know I substituted a Belsois silk, this one, for one of the colors. Isn't that pretty? Pretty color. But beyond that, I don't know what I did. So, for instance, if the color called for a red and a pink, then I might have put the pink where the red was supposed to be. This is how my bird ended up. Well, it's really okay. I like it okay. It is not completely correct. I can tell you right now that I missed some stitches and I fudged some stitches, but it still looks like that fractal bird. Anyway, I can't say that that bird was a lot of fun, but I think the rest of it's going to be. It was only that I knew I was confused. Works in progress. I have been working on, besides the fractal bird and the Stars and Stripes, I have been working on this one, Books of the Bible. I showed you the pattern last time on this one. I've added a couple of lines, I think, since then, maybe 3. Each of these lines takes me between 45 minutes and an hour to do. So I try to do one each morning. I think I'm going to change that around a little bit. This is going to be my Sunday stitch because I think if I do that, I can be finished with it in a month or so. And I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start Savior's Praise as my morning stitch, which means it will get an hour each morning. That will take me a very long time, but when I finish this one, the Books of the Bible, I could possibly make that my Sunday stitch. And then I have one Save the Stitches piece that I've had forever. This one is one that you saw the first year I was making videos. McKenna, I commented on a piece that I thought was really sweet. It was old, and I thought, maybe I would stitch that, maybe I wouldn't. I couldn't decide. And McKenna called me. She had seen it stitched on Craigslist, I think, in Phoenix. And so I contacted the lady and I bought it. And it's been languishing in my closet ever since because I couldn't find a frame that I thought was okay. I didn't want the mats. It came with the mats, but not the frame. And so I finally found a frame that fitted. It is not completely finished on the back because I haven't done the paper on the back. But I decided on just a plain frame. I do have the name of this somewhere. I don't remember what it is. And there was a little boy that went along with it. I know you've seen it many times before. It's a sweet pattern. Okay, that's really all that I have to show, except I'm going to pass the stash. I have 2 patterns that were gifted to me that I have stitched and that I would like to pass along. I showed this one, I think, in my last video or the one before that. Kathleen sent this pattern to me, and it's beautiful stitched up, y'all. It's just simply beautiful. It's a Country Cottage Needleworks, and it is called Let Us Rejoice. And if you are interested in this pattern, if you would just put that sentence in your comment, Let Us Rejoice, then I will put your name in for the drawing. And then Olivia and Elena sent me this pattern. I showed this one to you last time because I worked on it and finished it during Mania. Elena bought this in Paris when she was there. It's adorable. It really is adorable. But I have stitched this one, and so I'm going to pass this pattern along too. And if you're interested in this one, just put a sentence in that says, I love Paris. And I will draw for that one. before my next video. And y'all know I don't have a pattern. I don't have any idea when that will be. But it will be probably the first part of July. I'm kind of tied up between now and then. The Pennsylvania Fractor pattern that I am stitching, when I started looking for patriotic patterns through my stash and what I wanted to stitch, I pulled this one out and I thought, oh, that's it right there. I want to stitch that one. And I kept on looking through and I found a second one that I had obviously bought this pattern twice. I must have really liked it a lot. And I went on through my patterns, continued to look, and I found it again. 3 times, y'all. 3. I do now have a list of all my patterns, and I hope that I won't be repeating that mistake. But I had 3 of these. One I'm sending to my sister, and then I have this one, which I am going to give away. So if you are interested in this one, you can just put something about a bird in your comment. Anything at all about a bird. And I will draw for that one as well. Okay, that's all I have to show. So I'm going to talk about a couple of personal things. For those of you who have been following my brother Terry, my younger brother's journey over the last year, you know that he was sick for a very long time and had some real challenges. He has done so well. He really just continues to do great. We've had a little bit of a setback. He and Brenda live on the Arkansas River at Island Harbor in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. You may have seen that on the national news. It's been there. They have flooded. It is not the first time Brenda's house has flooded, but this is the worst, I believe, that's it's ever been. They thought when they left the house, according to the predictions, that the water would probably get up to her back porch. So they put like the refrigerator up on cinder blocks and furniture up off the floor a few inches, or maybe a foot, something like that. And then they left, and they are staying in a camper that Jerry and I have down at my older brother's. As the water began to come up, the predictions changed on where the Arkansas River was going to crest, and it came up to, well, above the top of their kitchen counters. That refrigerator that they put on blocks is floating around in the kitchen. To get to their house, you go down off a levee and down a kind of a low spot on the road. It's a paved road, and then it comes up a little bit to get to their house. So to get to their house, certainly you can't get there anyway but by boat right now, and it's probably going to take a couple of weeks for the waters to recede. And it might be even a little longer before they can get to their house because of the way the road is. For them to drive in there, that might be a little while longer. They have basically lost everything in the house. I think the house itself will be repairable. This house that we live in was in a flood before we bought it, back in 1991, I think. And it had water up to the top of the doorways. When that happens, you have to gut a house. You take it down to the studs and replace everything. So not only are they going to have to replace all their furniture and their personal belongings, but they're going to have to replace it, floors and walls and appliances and all of that stuff. So it's kind of a tough time. That stress has been very difficult for both of them, particularly, I think, for Terry. So if you would send good thoughts and prayers their way, we would certainly appreciate it. We've had some very kind people offer them some furniture, a bed and a chest and a dining room table. My friend Jo, she and her husband are moving from their current home into a cottage that is an independent living facility. And so the cottage is smaller than their home, and they're not using all of their furniture. So they've offered those things, which is going to be really helpful. I, I have been helping Joe pack up her sewing room, and that has really changed my attitude about a lot of things, I can tell you, because as I have packed and she's had to make decisions about what she's keeping and what she's not keeping, and what she's taking with her and what she's not going to take with her, and what to do with the stuff that she's not taking with her. It has really made me reevaluate the things that I am buying and the things that I'm keeping. And I'm looking over here because I have already gone through. Y'all have seen my shelves before where I had all my fat quarters. It's over here to my right. And I had them all in vintage PE baskets, the kind that we used to put our tennis shoes and clothes in, remember, in the gym. And I have taken those off and gotten plastic containers with the lids so that they're not going to get dusty. And I am going through and trying to make myself get rid of half of them. I'm not successful yet, but I'm working on it. I'm going to do the same thing with my fabric because, face it, as a quilter, we buy every pretty piece of fabric we see. We do that with patterns too, don't we, as cross stitchers? And I don't need all that anymore. I'm not quilting anymore. I'm using my fabric primarily to make bags and to use in my finishing of my cross stitch projects. So I'm going to gift that fabric to other people that are still doing those kinds of things. And then lastly, I want to say thank you to several of you who sent me cards last week, and particularly those of you who sent flowers. I had a procedure done on Thursday, had a heart cath. I have not felt well this spring, had some issues, and because there's a history of heart problems in my family, they wanted to eliminate that. My husband says I'm a know-it-all because I kept telling him it is not my heart. It is not. And it wasn't. My heart cath was good. My arteries are clear. The issues that I have are coming from some medication that I took for my arthritis that was very hard on my stomach and esophagus. And so that pain was kind of mocking what a heart issue might be. So I am grateful to know that at 72, my heart's doing pretty good. And I shall move on from here and be much more careful with my stomach and with the medications that I take. I hope it looks like at this point that I am going to be able to go to StitchCon. I didn't think that I would be able to do that for a variety of reasons. But right now I'm planning to. My Aunt Joyce, many of you have heard me speak of her. Joyce is blind and she has COPD and she lives with my sister. Is not doing well right now. Her COPD has flared up and she is in the hospital. So if you would send good thoughts her way, she's struggling to breathe, and that's a very difficult place to be. Very difficult. But we're praying for strength for her and for peace, and that she is going to be comfortable and be able to breathe a little bit easier. So I'm going up to see her this week. I have to wait another couple of days because on top of everything else, last week Jerry and I went to nearby community where our grandson lives and got to keep Raven, the newest great grandbaby, for the day. She's so beautiful, y'all. She's 5 months and she's just beautiful. And we had the best day. And when we came home and I went to the freezer in the house, the refrigerator freezer side by side, to get a glass of ice, well, it had quit. The refrigerator freezer had quit and everything in there had thawed. So it obviously had quit sometime in the night, and we didn't eat breakfast before we left, so we didn't notice it. It was a mess to clean up because, ice cream, when it melts, runs down through the freezer. And I confess, I had to clean my refrigerator because I didn't know it wasn't clean. It was time for it to have a really good scrubbing. I'm gonna put it like that. I cleaned it before I would even let the guys come and get it to haul it off. I don't know. I'm a little OCD. Um, the new refrigerator freezer is not coming until Tuesday. And so after it comes on Tuesday, I will go up to see Joyce and see how she's doing. Spend a few days with her. So I'm thinking I will not get a whole lot of stitching done this next week, but I'll get a little bit done, I think. And then pretty soon after that, it'll be time for StitchCon. And if all goes well, I will be there and we'll see many of you. So that's about it. That's all I have for today. I hope that you've had a good weekend. I've had a very good one and am looking forward to the week. I'm looking forward to having a brand new clean refrigerator that produces ice like I want it to, which means constantly because I'm an ice person. Um, and I'm looking forward to seeing Joyce and seeing my sister. So that will make it into a fun trip. Okay, so y'all have a great week and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.